Hello, my fellow teachers. Adults don't just manage behavior. They shape who children become. There's a well-documented psychological effect that shows something uncomfortable. Children often become who adults expect them to be. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it in classrooms. In this video, I want to do 3 things. First, I'll share a powerful study that shows how teacher beliefs alone can dramatically change student behavior and learning, even when children are chosen completely at random. Second, I'll tell you about a teacher who worked with the so-called problem kids and proof that structure and care are not opposites, they're partners. And finally, I'll give you a simple practical framework you can actually use as a teacher to reduce bad behavior by changing how children experience you. So let's go. The longer I work with children, the more convinced I become that this one thing sits underneath almost everything we see in classrooms, including behavior. It's the way adults see children. The quiet assumptions we carry about who a child is and what they're capable of. There was a very famous study that illustrates this in a way that still gives me chills. Researchers came into a school and told teachers that they had identified a group of students with exceptional intellectual potential, the so-called best of the best. These children were placed into special classes, and the teachers were informed that these students were expected to make outstanding progress over the year. And that's exactly what happened. At the end of the year, those students showed significantly higher academic growth, stronger engagement, and better overall outcomes. No one was surprised. After all, they were supposedly gifted. Except here's the part that matters. Those children had been selected completely at random. There was nothing objectively different about them. No higher intelligence, no special background, no advantage whatsoever. The only thing that changed was the belief in the teacher's mind. This study later became known as Pygmalion in the classroom. And what it showed was not that expectations magically raise IQ, but that expectations subtly change adult behavior. Teachers who believed they were teaching high potential students waited longer for answers, asked more complex questions, offered more feedback, showed more patience when a child struggled, interpreted mistakes as part of learning, not as a flaw. And children, being exquisitely sensitive to adult behavior, responded accordingly. They didn't suddenly become smarter. They didn't. They became more confident, more engaged, and more willing to try. There's another story that deepens this even further. A woman named Marva Collins left the public school system in the 1970s and opened her own school for children who had been labeled as unteachable, disruptive, or problem kids. Children others had written off. And what's important here is that she wasn't permissive. She wasn't chaotic or soft. She was demanding. She expected effort. She expected thinking. She expected growth. But underneath all of that was one unwavering belief. You are capable, and I refuse to treat you as anything less. She spoke to children with intellectual respect. She challenged them with difficult texts. She corrected them, but never humiliated them. She was deeply structured and deeply human. And again, those children rose because someone finally treated them as worthy of effort. And this is where behavior comes in, because a lot of what we label as bad behavior isn't really about defiance or lack of discipline or poor upbringing. Very often it's about disconnection. A child who feels unseen will seek attention. A child who feels incompetent will avoid effort. A child who feels labeled will live inside the label. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Children tend to behave in alignment with the role the adult unconsciously assigns them. The troublemaker, the weak one, the lazy one, the difficult one. Once that story exists, even silently, children feel it. But when a child senses, oh, this adult is curious about me. This adult believes there's something good here. This adult hasn't given up on me. Something shifts. Now I want to be very clear. I do not believe there is one thing that fixes behavior. Children are multi-layered human beings. They come with nervous systems, family systems, histories, personalities, and needs. Behavior support always needs structure, boundaries, and clarity. But belief and connection are not an extra. They are a foundation. And this is where teachers often ask, okay, but how do you actually do this? So let me offer a very simple, very practical framework that doesn't require you to be perfect, only conscious. The curious teacher. There's one stance I keep coming back to in my work with children. One stance that over time has changed not only behavior, but relationships, learning, and the entire atmosphere in the room. It's curiosity. So I want to walk you through something I call the curious teacher, which helps be with children, not judge them and label them. C stands for catch the story in your head. Every teacher carries stories about students. This one is difficult. This one always disrupts. This one just doesn't try. And the work doesn't start with changing the child. It starts with noticing the story running in your head, just catching it. Because the moment a story runs unconsciously, it shapes your tone, your patience, your expectations long before you say a single word. Awareness is already an intervention. U for understand before correcting. When behavior shows up, we often rush to stop it. But curiosity asks a different question. What might this behavior be protecting? What might this child be missing right now? This does not mean excusing behavior or removing boundaries. It means choosing to respond from understanding instead of irritation or power struggle. Correction without understanding escalates. Correction with understanding stabilizes. R for respond, don't react. Children don't just hear our words. They read our nervous systems. They really do. They notice how fast we move, how sharp our voice gets, how tense our body becomes. A regulated adult creates safety. A dysregulated adult, even with good rules, creates threat. So we slow down, lower the volume, use fewer words. Calm authority changes behavior faster than emotional escalation ever will. I for invest attention proactively. Many children act out not because they want chaos, but because attention equals safety. So instead of waiting for behavior to demand attention, we give it before it's demanded. We notice effort, we notice self-control, we notice attempts, not just success. When attention becomes predictable and safe, children stop looking for it in disruptive ways. O for observe patterns, not incidents. One moment tells you almost nothing. Patterns tell you everything. When does this behavior appear? During which tasks? With which peers? After which transitions? Curiosity replaces punishment. Patterns guide real support. U. Uncouple identity from behavior. And this one is crucial. Be firm with behavior. Be gentle with identity. This behavior doesn't work here. It's very different from you are a problem. Children need boundaries without losing dignity. S is for see potential even when it's buried. This is the hardest part and the most powerful one. Seeing potential doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means holding a wider lens. This child is more than this moment. This behavior is not the whole story. When a child senses that an adult truly believes there is something worth protecting, developing, and growing, behavior often shifts without force. And remember, curiosity doesn't replace structure. It makes structure work. Children regulate through adults before they regulate themselves. And the way we see children becomes the way children see themselves. That's why curiosity matters. If this way of seeing children resonates with you, if it put words to something you felt but maybe never named, leave a comment and tell me what stood out for you. And if you want more conversations like this about children, behavior, and conscious teaching, subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It really helps this message reach the people who need it. Happy teaching!